"Dad, you don't have to worry about anything anymore. I'll take care of everything." Those were the words my son Michael said to me when I signed what I thought was a simple power of attorney to help him with some banking paperwork. What he didn't know was that during my 73 years as a certified public accountant in downtown Chicago, I had developed a photographic memory for numbers and a natural distrust of anything that smelled like deception. My name is William Thompson. I'm 73 years old, and for 45 years I worked as a certified public accountant at Thompson & Associates in the Loop District of Chicago. During all that time, I helped hundreds of American families protect their assets, plan their finances, and avoid being scammed by unscrupulous relatives. I never imagined that one day I would need to use those same skills to protect myself from my own son. If this story is touching your heart like it touched mine to live through it, I invite you to stay with me until the end. And you know what? If you feel like someone else needs to hear this, please share it. Sometimes the most painful stories are the ones we need to tell the most to heal. Michael was always my pride and joy. He studied business administration at Northwestern University, married a wonderful woman named Jennifer, and together they gave me 2 precious grandchildren, Tyler, 8 years old, and Emma, 5. We all lived in the same area, he in Lincoln Park and me in my house in Oak Park, the same house where I raised Michael after his mother, my beloved Margaret, died of cancer when he was just 15 years old. For years, our relationship was exemplary. Michael would come visit me every Sunday after service at St. Peter's Episcopal Church. He'd bring the kids so they could spend time with their grandfather, and Jennifer always brought me deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's because she knew how much I loved it. He was, or at least I thought he was, the perfect son any American father would want to have. Everything started to change when Michael began his own financial consulting firm. At first I was proud. My son, following in my footsteps in the world of finance, but making his own path. He asked me for some advice, even invited me to be his unofficial mentor. I, of course, was delighted to accept. Have you ever noticed how the biggest betrayals always come wrapped in good intentions? How the people we trust the most are precisely the ones who have the most power to hurt us? But the small, strange details began. First, it was when Michael started insisting that I should no longer handle my own finances. "Dad, you're 73 years old now. Let me help you with this. I studied for this." At first it sounded reasonable. After all, he had his own financial consulting firm. Then came the suggestions about my house. "Dad, this Oak Park house is too big for you alone. Why don't you move to a smaller apartment? I'll help you sell the house, and with that money you can live comfortably in a place more appropriate for your age." The house where I had lived with Margaret, where we had raised Michael, where all our memories were. Then came the comments about my mental capacity. "Dad, yesterday you forgot where you put your keys. The day before yesterday you didn't remember the name of the pharmacy where you always buy your medications. I think you should consider it. Maybe you need help managing your important affairs. If someone watching this has gone through something similar, leave me a comment. Sometimes we need to know that we're not alone in these painful experiences." For months, Michael increased the pressure subtly. He brought me articles about elderly people who had been scammed by strangers. He told me stories about other old folks who had lost everything for not having someone trustworthy managing their finances. "Dad, I just want to protect you. You're my responsibility now." The insistence became more intense when Michael found out that I had been helping my sister Dorothy financially, who lives in Milwaukee and had been going through economic difficulties after her husband lost his job. "Dad, you can't be giving money away like that. Your sister has her own children who should help her. You need to think about your future, about your old age." One day in March of last year, Michael came to my house with a folder full of documents and a notary. "Dad, I brought Mr. Rodriguez to help us with some paperwork. I just need you to give me a general power of attorney so I can help you better with your bank accounts and some procedures. It's just to make your life easier." Mr. Rodriguez was an older man, respectable looking, with a leather briefcase and a way of speaking that inspired confidence. "Mr. Thompson, this is very common. Responsible sons like Michael always look for ways to help their parents. It's just power so he can do banking procedures for you, nothing more." I reviewed the documents. They seemed standard, a simple power of attorney for banking operations. As an accountant, I had seen thousands of similar documents. Michael was there, smiling, with Jennifer by his side, nodding. The kids were playing in the backyard. Everything seemed normal, familiar, safe. I signed the documents. How foolish I was. During the following weeks, Michael took charge of paying my utilities, managing my Social Security pension, handling my investments. At first, everything seemed to work perfectly, even better than before. Michael gave me a weekly summary of my finances, Everything very organized, very professional. But then the restrictions began. "Dad, your credit card is having some technical problems. Better use cash for a few days." Then it was, "Dad, the bank is updating your account. Better not make big movements for a while." Do you know that feeling when something's not right but you can't identify exactly what it is? That discomfort that settles in your stomach and won't go away? One day, I wanted to transfer $5,000 to Dorothy because her granddaughter needed emergency surgery. I went to the bank, and they told me I didn't have authorization to make that transaction. "Mr. Thompson, according to our records, your son Michael Thompson has exclusive power over this account." Exclusive power! Those words resonated in my head like alarm bells. That night, I couldn't sleep. I took out the copies of the documents I had signed and reviewed them line by line with a magnifying glass. And there it was. On page 3, in small print, a clause I didn't remember reading. "The grantor waives any power of revocation over this document and grants the attorney in fact exclusive and irrevocable powers over all his movable and immovable assets." Irrevocable. Exclusive. All my assets. My blood ran cold. With my years of experience as an accountant, I knew exactly what this meant. Michael didn't just have access to my bank accounts, he had total control over everything I owned. My house, my investments, my car, everything. The next day I went directly to the notary office where we had signed the documents. I wanted to speak with Mr. Rodriguez. The secretary looked at me strangely when I mentioned his name. "Mr. Rodriguez?" "Sir, no attorney by that name works here, and these documents—" She reviewed the papers I was carrying. "These documents were not notarized here. This seal is fake." My world collapsed. My own son had forged my signature on additional documents I had never seen, had paid someone to impersonate a notary, and had created a power that left me completely without control over my own assets. That night, Michael came to dinner as always. He brought Jennifer and the kids. He sat at my table, ate the pot roast I had prepared with so much love, played with my grandchildren in my living room, and all the time he knew perfectly well that he had stolen everything I had worked for my entire life. "How was your day, Dad?" he asked me with that smile that now seemed completely fake to me. "Very quiet, son. Very educational." Michael didn't know that during 45 years as an accountant, I had developed not only a photographic memory for numbers, but also a network of contacts in the legal and financial world that spanned all of Chicago. He also didn't know that before being an accountant, I'd studied 2 years of law at the University of Chicago. If you're watching this and you have elderly parents, please take this moment to reflect on how you treat them. And if you're a father or mother who feels betrayed by your children, let me tell you that your story matters. Share it in the comments. Let's create a community where we can heal together. During the following week, I acted as if nothing had happened. I continued my normal routine: church on Sundays, grocery shopping on Tuesdays, coffee with my former colleagues on Thursdays. But secretly, I was very busy. First, I contacted my old friend Robert Miller, who is now a federal judge in the Northern District of Illinois. I explained my situation, and he put me in contact with a forensic document expert. In less than 2 days, we had scientific evidence that the additional documents had been forged. Second, I visited my former colleague Sarah Anderson, who now ran a law firm specializing in financial fraud. When I showed her the documents, her reaction was immediate. "William, this isn't just fraud. It's identity theft, forgery of official documents, and aggravated breach of trust. Your son could face up to 10 years in prison." Third, and this Michael definitely didn't expect, during all these years I had been meticulously documenting every gift I had given him, every loan, every financial help. I had 45 years of perfectly organized financial records that showed exactly how much money I had invested in Michael's education, in his wedding, and the down payment for his house, in his business. According to my calculations, throughout his life, I had invested a total of $234,000 in Michael. I had paid his private tuition from kindergarten through college, bought him his first car, paid for the wedding with Jennifer, given the down payment for his house in Lincoln Park, and had been the initial investor in his consulting firm. Did Michael think he could steal from an accountant with 45 years of experience, and I wouldn't notice? That he could betray his own father and there would be no consequences? Friday night, Michael came to my house as always, but this time he didn't come alone. He brought Jennifer, the kids, and also 2 people I didn't know. A young man in a suit who introduced himself as Attorney Garcia, Michael's legal advisor, and an older woman who introduced herself as Dr. Martinez, a geriatrician specializing in mental capacity of elderly adults. "Dad, we've been worried about you," Michael began seriously, Jennifer and I have noticed some changes in your behavior lately. Forgetfulness, confusion, some financial decisions that don't make sense. We think it would be convenient for Dr. Martinez to give you an evaluation." There was the complete plan. Michael had not only stolen my assets, now he wanted me declared mentally incapable so no one could question his actions. The fake geriatrician would come up with a diagnosis of senile dementia, the fake lawyer would make that official before a judge, and Michael would have total legal and medical control over my life. "Of course, son. It seems very responsible of you to worry about my mental health," I replied with a smile. "In fact, I've also been worried about some things lately." Jennifer looked at me with that expression she put on when she was trying to be understanding but condescending. "Mr. Thompson, we know this can be difficult to accept, but it's for your own good." The kids were in the living room watching television, oblivious to what was happening in the dining room, where the adults were playing this deadly game of lies and betrayals. "You know what? Before the doctor examines me, I'd like to show you something I prepared for you," I said, getting up from the table. "Michael, can you help me bring that box that's in my study?" Michael looked confused, but followed me to the study. The box was full of documents perfectly organized in folders with colored labels. Each folder contained years of evidence. We returned to the dining room, and I put the box on the table. "Dr. Martinez, Mr. Garcia, Michael, Jennifer, I want to share with you the result of my own investigation about my mental capacity." I opened the first folder. This folder contains the forensic analysis performed by the Illinois State Police Crime Lab on the documents Michael had me sign last month. I handed a copy to each one. As you can see, the experts concluded that the signature on the additional documents is fake, that the notarial seal is forged, and that Mr. Rodriguez, who came to my house, doesn't exist in the official registry of notaries in Cook County. I watched Michael's face turn pale. Jennifer dropped the documents. The fake geriatrician and fake lawyer looked at each other in panic. "The second folder," I continued calmly, "contains all the financial transactions Michael has made with my money since I gave him banking power. As you can see, instead of the $500,000 he told me I had in the bank, I actually have $43,000. Michael has transferred $457,000 to his company and family accounts." Michael tried to interrupt. "Dad, I can explain." "Let me finish, son." My voice was firm but not aggressive. Years of experience negotiating with difficult clients had taught me to stay calm in tense situations. The third folder contains my formal complaint for fraud, document forgery, identity theft, and aggravated breach of trust, which was filed this morning with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. The silence in the dining room was absolute. You could only hear the sound of the television, where my grandchildren were still watching cartoons. "The fourth folder," I continued, "contains the arrest warrant that was issued this afternoon against Michael Thompson, and also against the two people who are here impersonating medical and legal professionals to try to declare me mentally incapable." At that moment, my doorbell rang. "Ah, those must be the federal agents who are coming to execute the arrest warrants." Michael stood up abruptly. "Dad, please, we can resolve this as a family. There's no need to involve the authorities." "As a family?" I asked him. "Like when you forged my signature? Like when you stole my money and then brought fake people to declare me crazy? Is that your idea of resolving things as a family?" Jennifer began to cry. The children ran from the dining room when they heard the raised voices. The fake geriatrician and fake lawyer were already trying to leave discreetly through the back door, but the agents had already surrounded the house. When I opened the door, 3 FBI agents entered, accompanied by attorney Sarah Anderson. "Mr. Thompson, we've come to execute the arrest warrants you requested." Michael, Jennifer, the fake geriatrician and fake lawyer, were arrested that same night. The children stayed with Jennifer's parents while the legal situation was resolved. During the following weeks, the investigation revealed that Michael had not only stolen from me. His financial consulting firm was a front to scam other elderly people. There were at least 15 more victims, all people between 60 and 80 years old, who had trusted him to manage their finances and who had ended up losing their life savings. The case became a media sensation. The newspapers called it the Senior Citizen Scammer. The Securities and Exchange Commission implemented new protocols to protect elderly people from this type of family fraud. Michael was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Jennifer received 3 years for complicity. The fake geriatrician and fake lawyer each received 5 years for identity theft and criminal conspiracy. But the story doesn't end there. 3 months after the trial, I received a letter from prison. It was from Michael. In that letter, he asked for my forgiveness and explained to me how it all started. His company was going bankrupt, he had lost money from several clients in risky investments, and he was getting desperate. Jennifer was pressuring him to maintain their Lincoln Park lifestyle. The kids were in expensive private schools. They had debts they couldn't pay. "I thought you would never find out," he wrote. "I thought you could live comfortably on a small monthly allowance, and I could use the rest to save my company and support my family. I never wanted to hurt you, Dad. I just wanted to solve my problems without involving anyone else." The letter ended with, "I know you'll never forgive me, but I want you to know that I regret it every day. The kids ask me why Grandpa doesn't visit them anymore. I don't know what to tell them. What would you have done in my place? Would you have forgiven your son? Let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. I spent weeks thinking about that letter. I talked to my sister Dorothy, my former colleagues, my pastor at St. Peter's. Everyone told me that Michael had dug his own grave, that the consequences of his actions were just that I didn't owe him anything. But there was something that bothered me deeply: my grandchildren. Tyler and Emma weren't to blame for their father's decisions. They had lost not only their dad, who was in prison, but also their grandfather, who had disappeared from their lives. One Sunday after church, I made a decision that surprised everyone. I went to Jennifer's parents' house and asked permission to take my grandchildren to lunch. Tyler, who was now 9 years old, asked me directly, "Grandpa, why is my dad in prison? Why don't you come visit us anymore?" I explained to him, in a way a child could understand, that his dad had made some very bad decisions that had hurt several people, including me. That when people make bad decisions, they have to face the consequences, even if we love those people very much. "But don't you love us anymore?" Emma asked me with tears in her eyes. "I love you more than my own life," I replied. "You didn't do anything wrong. You are the most important thing to me in this world." Since that day, my grandchildren come to my house every Sunday after church. I teach them math, tell them stories about their grandmother Margaret, we cook together, do homework together. I'm paying for their private education because I believe children shouldn't pay for their parents' mistakes. Michael will get out of prison in 5 years. I don't know if we'll ever be able to rebuild our relationship. I don't know if I'll be able to forgive him completely, but I do know that his children deserve to have a grandfather who loves them unconditionally. I've recovered all my money through legal processes. The house is still mine. My investments are safe. But more important than that, I've recovered my dignity and my sense of control over my own life. The experience taught me something I want to share with everyone watching this. It's never too late to defend yourself. No matter how old you are, no matter if the person hurting you is your own son, your life, your dignity, your assets, all of that has value and deserves to be protected. To the children watching this, I want to tell you, your parents worked their entire lives to build what they have. That patrimony is not your inheritance while your parents are alive. It's the sustenance, security, and dignity of the people who brought you into this world. Respect that. To the parents watching this, I want to tell you, don't be afraid to protect yourselves. Parental love doesn't mean allowing your children to abuse or rob you. Setting boundaries and consequences is also a form of love. And to all those who have accompanied me this far, thank you for listening to my story. If you know someone going through a similar situation, share this video with them. Sometimes people need to see that it is possible to defend yourself, that it is possible to regain control, that it's never too late to seek justice. If this story moved something inside you, if it made you reflect on your own family, if it reminded you that you should value the elderly people in your life more, do me a favor. Give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. But more important than that, go and hug your parents if you still have them. Tell them you love them. Life is too short to hold unnecessary grudges. And remember, wisdom comes with age, but true power comes from knowing when and how to use what we've learned during all these years of life. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.